If you found yourself pulling away from people as the years go by, canceling plans more often, keeping your circle small, or simply feeling drained by too much social interaction, you're not alone. Many people experience this shift, and it's often confusing. You might wonder, am I becoming antisocial? Is something wrong with me? The truth is, nothing's wrong with you. What's happening is actually a normal, deeply human part of psychological and emotional growth. As we age, our priorities, energy, and emotional needs change. The constant desire for social validation or endless small talk starts to fade. You begin to value peace over popularity and meaningful connections over crowded gatherings. But this natural change often clashes with how society expects us to live, constantly social, always available, and endlessly upbeat. When you start withdrawing from that noise, it can feel like something's off. Yet science and psychology say otherwise. Research shows that with age, our brains naturally shift toward what psychologists call emotional selectivity. It means we start focusing more on relationships and experiences that feel genuine and rewarding, and less on things that feel draining or superficial. This is not a sign of isolation. It's a sign of emotional maturity and better self-awareness. Still, it's not just about getting tired of people. There are deeper psychological reasons behind this change, rooted in how your brain, emotions, and perception evolve with age. You're not losing interest in people. You're redefining what connection means to you. So if you've been wondering why social gatherings feel more exhausting than enjoyable, or why you now crave silence more than chatter, stay with me. Because in this video, we're breaking down the 5 key psychological reasons you start avoiding people more as you age, and why it's completely normal. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you noticed yourself becoming more selective with people over the years? Do you miss your younger, more social self? Or do you feel more at peace now? Share your experience in the comments. Your perspective might help someone realize they're not alone in feeling this way. Now, let's get into the first psychological reason. Number 1, shrinking social energy. You have less patience for small talk. As you get older, your tolerance for time-wasting social routines tends to fall. Small talk that once passed for connection can start to feel empty, and you notice your energy draining faster during long, surface-level encounters. This isn't laziness, it's a shift in priorities. Your mental resources are finite. Attention, patience, and emotional stamina all take real effort to spend. After decades of dealing with social obligations, rehearsed greetings, and casual chit-chat, many people reach a point where they prefer depth over breadth. The change is practical. As people age, they often have clearer ideas about what matters: family, a few close friends, hobbies, health, and they cut out interactions that give little return. That pruning protects limited energy for the relationships that actually sustain them. It feels normal to pass on a party invite when you suspect the evening will be filled with gossip or small talk that leaves you tired the next day. Over time, those small refusals add up. Friends interpret it as withdrawal, but for the older person, it's simply deliberate allocation of time and energy. There's also a cognitive angle. Sustained social activity demands attention and working memory, tracking names, backstories, shifting topics. Age-related changes in cognitive speed and memory make that kind of multitasking more effortful. When conversation becomes a strain, the instinct is to avoid it. That withdrawal may look like becoming antisocial, but it's more accurate to call it selective socializing, choosing easier, more meaningful interactions over exhausting ones. Emotional regulation plays a role as well. Older adults often become more comfortable with themselves and less interested in performing for others. They are less likely to expend emotional labor to smooth every encounter. Where once someone might have smiled and adapted to fit a group, now they are more likely to speak only when they have something to contribute. That honesty reduces casual social contact naturally. Number 2, fear of becoming a burden. You pull back to protect others. As people age, worries about being a burden on others become more common and powerful. This fear can push someone to avoid asking for help, canceling visits, or declining invitations that might require extra effort from others. It's not simply pride, it's a protective choice aimed at preserving dignity and reducing perceived strain on family and friends. This mindset forms for good reasons. People see family members stretched thin by work, childcare, and financial pressures, and they don't want to add to that load. They may have witnessed or experienced strained relationships when care needs grow, and they choose preemptive withdrawal to spare everyone stress. That withdrawal can be silent, turning down events, avoiding long conversations, or staying home more often. Outsiders read this as social isolation, but the older person often sees it as thoughtful restraint. Anxiety about being a burden also interacts with changes in independence. Physical limitations, forgetfulness, or slower mobility make everyday tasks harder. The awareness of needing help for basic things, getting upstairs, shopping, housework, can be humiliating. To avoid situations that might expose these weaknesses, people reduce social contact. The aim is to control how others see them, preserving self-image as capable and useful. Cultural norms influence the depth of this fear. In some families, asking for help is framed as weakness. In others, elders feel they must remain stoic for the sake of family harmony. Either way, the result is the same: pulling back before help is even offered. That behavior protects relationships, but also increases loneliness risk. Addressing this pattern requires reframing help as mutual exchange rather than one-way dependence. When older adults see social support as part of normal life, not a burden, they can relax the self-limiting behaviors. For many, though, the instinct to shield others is strong and leads to increasingly selective social engagement. It's understandable and often motivated by care for others rather than avoidance of connection. Number 3, loss and grief accumulation. You naturally shrink your circle. Loss shapes the social world as you age. Friends move, relationships end, partners pass away, and social roles shift. Each loss makes the social landscape smaller, and often people respond by narrowing their circle to those who remain. This pattern is part grief, part practical response, and a standard way people cope. Repeated losses change how people invest in new relationships. After losing close friends or a partner, some find it too risky to form new attachments that might later be cut short. The emotional energy required to build trust, remember details, and commit time to new people feels disproportionate to the uncertain payoff. So, rather than filling gaps quickly, many prefer to deepen a few existing bonds instead of branching out again. Grief also alters priorities. Emotional safety and predictability become more valuable than novelty. Social situations that once felt fun may now trigger reminders of what's gone. A shared hobby might remind someone of a lost friend, or a family gathering could highlight absences. To avoid that pain, it's natural to step back from settings that amplify grief. Physical absence matters too. As friends relocate or become less mobile, group activities shrink. Technology helps, but many older adults find online contact less satisfying than face-to-face interaction. When the people who defined a social circle are gone, it's hard to reconstruct the same dynamics, so people accept a smaller, quieter social life. This tendency to withdraw after loss is not avoidance in the negative sense. It's a protective response to preserve emotional stability. It reflects a realistic sorting process, investing only where returns are meaningful and sustainable. Over time, that leads to fewer social connections, but often closer, more reliable ones. Number 4, changing identity and interests. Your social world no longer fits you. As life moves on, interests and identity don't stay fixed. Work identities fade at retirement, parenting roles change as children leave home, and personal tastes evolve. Your social world that formed around past roles may no longer match who you are now, and the mismatch leads people to step away. This is obvious in retirement. Work-based friendships often revolve around daily routines, workplace concerns, and shared tasks. When that structure disappears, the glue that held those friendships weakens. Many older adults find themselves uninterested in conversations that hinge on office gossip or career advancement. The social activities that used to be automatic no longer feel relevant, so continuing them becomes effortful and unrewarding. New interests can also drive social pruning. People develop hobbies or priorities that differ from their old group: more reading, gardening, volunteering, or health-focused pursuits. If friends don't share these new interests, interactions decline naturally. That's not rejection, it's realignment. The social network contracts to include those who fit the current identity. This shift can cause awkwardness. Old friends may see the change as withdrawal, while the older person feels aligned with a truer sense of self. The result is less frequent interaction, but a clearer sense of personal authenticity. Over time, the social circle becomes smaller but better matched to who the person is now. Adapting to identity changes is part of healthy aging. It's a chance to refine social life around what brings satisfaction rather than obligation. Avoidance of mismatched social settings is not failure. It's a deliberate move toward a social life that fits present values and energy levels. Number 5. Increased social anxiety and self-consciousness. You avoid situations where you feel exposed. Feeling self-conscious in social settings often rises with age. Physical changes, hearing loss, memory slips, or slower speech can make people fear awkward moments. That fear leads to avoiding gatherings where those issues might be noticed or judged. Hearing loss is a major trigger. Struggling to follow conversations in noisy rooms is humiliating and exhausting. The effort to lip read, ask for repeats, or guess what was said leaves little room for enjoyment. The result is a defensive withdrawal, choosing quiet, familiar environments over loud group settings. Avoidance feels safer and prevents repeated embarrassment. Memory lapses and slower recall also play a role. When someone fears they can't follow a story or will forget a name, they may skip events to avoid the stress of those moments. Self-consciousness about appearance or mobility, leaning on a cane, moving more slowly, can be another reason to stay home. These changes are visible and can attract awkward attention. Avoiding them reduces the chance of uncomfortable social experiences. Mental health factors compound this. Mild depression or anxiety, which are not uncommon with age-related stressors, increase tendencies to withdraw. The less confident someone feels, the more they steer clear of situations that might expose weakness. Over time, that pattern becomes a habit, and social circles shrink. This kind of avoidance is protective rather than pathological in many cases. The person is choosing settings where they feel competent and comfortable. Interventions that repair hearing, improve social skills, or treat anxiety can help, but without support, heightened self-consciousness will push many to simplify their social life to the smallest, safest circle. If this helped you understand yourself a little better, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more insights on the mind and human behavior. And before you go, share in the comments, have you noticed yourself becoming more selective with people as you've grown older?